Life is what you make it. Choose small actions and transform your destiny. Epictetus, when life seems like a whirlwind of commitments and worries, finding small practices that change our perspective can be the decisive step towards a profound transformation. Imagine that in just 3 days, you can plant the seeds of a new life, a lighter, stronger life, aligned with what truly matters. The habits we will explore here are not magical, but they have the power to awaken a strength within you that may have been dormant. And this is what Stoicism teaches us. The true change begins in the simple, in what we can do now, and spreads like waves through our daily lives. The power of transformation in 3 days lies in the intention we put into each habit, into each small action. These are practices that come from the teachings of the greatest Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, thinkers who show us that life is built on daily choices. Choosing to wake up earlier to listen to the silence, breathing deeply to remember that calm is within us, or letting go of what we don't need. Each of these actions, when done with purpose, brings us closer to a more authentic and meaningful life. You might wonder, are 3 days enough to transform a life? Yes, 3 days are the beginning, the necessary impulse to create roots of change. Each of these 7 habits you are about to learn may not seem grand, but together they form a powerful path for those who want more than just to survive. They want to truly live with strength and purpose. Now, before we dive into this guide to transformation, I propose a challenge. Declare in the comments, "Today is a day of change." Participate, share your journey, and let's strengthen this community together. If you are new here, subscribe to the channel and leave your like so that more people can find these messages and be inspired to change. Prepare yourself. You are 1 video away from discovering the 7 habits that will change everything in just 3 days. The morning silence. The first habit we will explore is the morning silence. This habit may seem simple, but its depth and impact are immense. Starting the day in silence is like opening your mind to a new world. As if at sunrise, every thought of yours is free from the interferences of the day. The practice of finding calm is more than just a few moments of peace. It is a way to connect with yourself and with your deepest purposes. Imagine that instead of picking up your phone and diving into the demands of the world, you reserve the first few minutes to simply be in silence. This moment, however brief, is your space of peace before the demands of the day appear. In Stoicism, this is the moment to find your inner axis, the point where no external influence yet has power over you. Seneca said that the mind needs tranquility and that peace of mind is the first step to a life of wisdom and purpose. He believed that it is in silence that man finds true freedom and that this inner peace is capable of protecting us against agitations and worries. To create this routine, start by setting aside at least 5 to 10 minutes right after waking up. Sit down, close your eyes, and focus only on your breathing. You don't need to meditate or try to reach an elevated spiritual state. Just listen to the natural rhythm of your body, allowing your mind to adjust to the new day without haste. It can be in a comfortable armchair or simply sitting on the edge of the bed. But the important thing is not to allow anything to invade this moment. This is your space where haste and worries are left outside. Over time, you will notice that these minutes of silence affect your entire routine. The impact of a calmer and more focused start to the day tends to reverberate, creating a sense of calm that accompanies you throughout the hours. It is as if, by reserving this space, you strengthen an invisible shield that protects you from external chaos. Silence creates a kind of internal anchor, a strength that will always be at your disposal regardless of what happens throughout the day. Starting the day with silence allows you to set your intentions more clearly. Most people start the day being pushed by external demands, notifications, messages, responsibilities, and quickly lose connection with what really matters. But by practicing this habit, you begin to develop the ability to separate what is yours from what belongs to the world. This gives you more power of choice, more control over where you want to put your energy and attention. You become the architect of your own day, defining how you want to react to what arises, instead of being just an automatic response to the pressures around you. And remember, the morning silence is not just a moment of tranquility. It is an affirmation of presence. You are declaring to yourself that you deserve this time, that your inner peace is more important than any distraction. This practice is a form of self-love and also an exercise in discipline. The Stoics believed that discipline is an essential virtue, and starting the day with silence is a powerful way to cultivate this virtue. Preparing yourself to face whatever the day brings. This habit is particularly transformative when we practice it for several consecutive days. At the end of 3 days, you may notice a change not only in your mood, but also in the way you respond to stress and challenges. The daily practice of a little silence strengthens your emotional resilience and sharpens your ability to decide what really deserves your attention. After all, it is in the space between stimulus and response that the true power of choice resides. So try to create this space for silence in your morning. Start with just 5 minutes and gradually increase as you see fit. Do this with commitment as a sacred ritual, a gift you give yourself every morning. 2. Breathe deeply like a tranquil warrior. Breathing deeply seems so simple, so natural, that we don't give it the importance it deserves. But what many people don't realize is that breathing is a powerful tool to connect us with the present, to gain clarity, and even to cultivate inner strength. This habit of breathing consciously may seem small, but it has a huge impact on the way we face the situations of daily life. After all, how many times have we been anxious, agitated, or stuck in negative thoughts and not even realized that we are breathing superficially? It's as if the body is in a constant state of alert. Breathing like a tranquil warrior means making breathing a ritual, a practice of focus and strength. Imagine that every time you inhale, you are bringing calm inside, and every time you exhale, you are releasing everything you don't need to carry. In moments of stress, breathing can be your best friend. When you feel the weight of the day accumulating, try taking a break, closing your eyes, and inhaling deeply. Feel the air entering your lungs, traveling through your body as if you were filling every cell with tranquility. Then release the air slowly, and with it, also release any worry or tension that is bothering you. This simple act of breathing deeply and consciously can make a big difference. Remember when someone told you to take a deep breath before a presentation or an important conversation? That's not for nothing. Breathing deeply helps bring the mind to the present moment, pushing away fears of the future or anxieties of the past. It is a habit that requires little effort, but brings great returns. When you practice this daily, even for just a few minutes, you begin to notice how capable you are of staying calm in situations that used to throw you off balance. This practice of breathing deeply can be associated with a technique called box breathing, where you inhale for a count of 4, hold the air in your lungs for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and remain without air for another 4 seconds. This type of breathing helps regulate the nervous system, slowing down the heart rate and calming the mind. It's like a planned pause where you choose to control the rhythm and intensity of what you feel. Now, imagine that you are a warrior, someone who is always prepared but at peace with themselves. This warrior does not act on impulse. He breathes before each action, thinks, and centers himself. Every breath you take with awareness is a training, a reminder that no matter what happens, you are in control of your reaction. Imagine the impact this has on your life. Instead of reacting impulsively, you create a space between what happens and your response. And it is in this space, in this pause of a breath, that you find the stoic strength to act with wisdom. Another advantage of breathing like a tranquil warrior is the ability to connect with your body. We often go through the day without even noticing the tensions accumulated in our shoulders, chest, or jaw. When we breathe deeply and pay attention to our body, we can notice these points of tension and release them. It's as if breathing were an internal massage, gradually dissolving the areas of rigidity. Try doing this now. Inhale deeply and release the air slowly, feeling your shoulders relax, your chest open. With this simple action, you already feel a subtle change, a peace that starts from within. And of course, breathing deeply and consciously is not just for difficult moments. Make it a regular practice, like a morning ritual or before sleeping. Upon waking, take 3 deep breaths, filling your lungs with energy and disposition for the day. Before sleeping, breathe deeply to calm the mind, letting the body rest completely. These small pauses help redefine what you feel, help calm the mind, and remind you that every moment is a choice. When practiced consistently, this habit transforms. It gives you the calm of someone who knows that no matter how much the world is in constant motion, no matter how many problems arise, breathing is your anchor. Practice active gratitude. The practice of recognizing the value of what we have is a fundamental Stoic tradition that helps us cultivate peace of mind and resist the pressures of incessant desire. For the Stoics, like Epictetus and Seneca, the act of appreciating what is around us is not a superficial expression of contentment, but a profound exercise of internal control and true freedom. When we recognize what we have, friends, small joys, and the simple fact of being alive, we free ourselves from the need to constantly seek something external to satisfy our spirit. Start your day with a brief moment of reflection. Sit in silence, breathe deeply, and observe everything around you, whether it's the morning light, the aroma of coffee, or the quiet silence of the beginning of the day. Marcus Aurelius, for example, valued these moments of simplicity. He believed that in the appreciation of small things, we find a firm ground for inner peace. This act of perceiving the beauty in what we already have helps us see that many of the anxieties we carry come from a dissatisfaction that we do not need to cultivate. Also, appreciate the people in your life. The Stoics remind us that no one lives alone and that human relationships are one of the greatest riches we can experience. Seneca said that nothing makes us as grateful as a heart that knows how to value others. Think of someone special and visualize moments you have spent together. By feeling the presence of this person in your mind, allow yourself to recognize their value to your life with genuine gratitude, not just with a quick thought, but with the depth that this practice deserves. Another way to strengthen this practice is to understand the value of the small comforts that make up our day. As the Stoics teach us, it is not about possessing material things, but about realizing that much of what we have brings us a simple and often ignored peace. The water we drink, the roof over our heads, the meal that sustains us. These are reminders that even in a constantly changing world, we have enough to find serenity. Epictetus said that wealth is not in possessing much, but in desiring little. To consolidate this practice, try writing at night about moments that brought a feeling of value to your day. List 3 things, but try to vary what you write each day. Maybe it was a meaningful conversation, a new learning, or a moment when you were patient with yourself. This trains your mind to perceive what is important and not to cling to what is fleeting. When repeated, this exercise broadens the vision of what really matters. In just 3 days, you can start to see a real change in the way you face the world. For the Stoics, appreciating what we already have is an essential step to building a calmer and more focused mind. It is a path to true independence, the one that comes from within. 4. Let go of the superfluous. Let's think about how many things we accumulate throughout our lives, commitments, objects, even feelings and resentments that we no longer know why we keep. It's as if we are surrounded by layers and layers that distance us from who we really are. Letting go is, in essence, a form of liberation, a conscious choice to remove the excess that prevents us from living fully and lightly. In Stoicism, letting go is seeing with clarity and saying to yourself, does this really add anything to me, or is it just holding me to the past? Imagine you have a room in your mind, a space that should be destined to store what is important to you, but that is full of objects that no longer represent you. Some have sentimental value, others you have kept out of pure habit, and others are there just because someone once gave them to you and you thought you should keep them. And so this room fills up with memories, with pending issues, until you can barely see what really has value amidst so much accumulated stuff. This habit of letting go involves a process of looking inside and doing a cleanup, as if you were removing the furniture from a room and deciding with clarity what really needs to be there. You may realize that certain relationships or commitments are no longer aligned with who you are. This may sound radical, but it is an exercise in honesty with yourself. After all, keeping what is superfluous requires an energy that you could be dedicating to what really matters. Imagine the mental and emotional energy you release when you let go of something that no longer serves you. This opens up space for new experiences and, more importantly, for who you want to become. Another interesting aspect of detachment is the idea that we often don't need as much as we think. It's the difference between what is useful and what is excessive. The Stoics believed in simplicity. Marcus Aurelius, for example, despite being an emperor, lived with the bare minimum and taught that a simple life is a life without distractions. When you start to identify and leave behind what is dispensable, you discover that lightness is not just a metaphor. It is a real feeling, a sense of peace that comes with the created space. Letting go can also be an act of courage. We are often so accustomed to certain ideas and behaviors that even though we know they no longer serve us, we are afraid to let them go. And it's okay to feel that fear. The important thing is to take the first step and experience this change. What do you have to lose? You are not throwing away something essential. You are just freeing up space for the essential to flourish. This habit, when practiced consciously, can completely transform your way of living and seeing the world around you. Letting go is not loss, it is liberation. And by letting go of what weighs you down, you gain a new perspective, a new way of seeing yourself and life. Establish clear purposes. A life without direction is like a boat adrift, carried by any current that passes. And isn't that exactly what many of us feel when we wake up and go on autopilot, reacting to each new demand? We end up exhausted, and often with the feeling that we haven't moved from our spot. That is why the great Stoic philosophers encourage us to have a purpose, a clear intention that guides us and gives meaning to what we do, day after day. Now you might be thinking, but what exactly does it mean to have a purpose? And how will I find mine? First, let's take the weight off expectations. Having a purpose does not mean having a grandiose vision of life, something that transforms the world overnight. Quite the contrary, according to the Stoics, purpose lies in understanding what we can do here and now to take a step forward. Marcus Aurelius tells us that we should do our work, fulfill our duty. For him, there is no greater purpose than to live according to what is within our reach, with what is essential and true for us. So, how to find your purpose? To start, ask yourself, what really matters to me? This question is simple but powerful, and you can use it in various areas of your life. For example, upon waking, define what your purpose will be for that day. It can be something simple like doing your best at work, treating everyone around you with patience, or even focusing on taking care of your physical and mental health. And note, this does not mean you will be stuck with this intention as an inflexible rule. On the contrary, the purpose serves as a compass, a direction you choose to follow, but with flexibility to adapt as challenges appear. Remember that we do not control what happens around us, but we control how we react to these events. The purpose helps us precisely to maintain focus on what is ours, on what is within our domain, so that we do not get lost in distractions and demands that arise. Think about it. Living without a purpose is like being in a turbulent river, carried from one side to the other. Each current drags us in different directions, and we end up tired, worn out, without knowing where we're going. But when we have a direction, when we know why we are waking up every morning, every action starts to have more meaning. Even difficult moments seem less heavy because we are committed to something bigger, and that is extremely powerful. In Stoicism, purpose is also linked to the idea of virtue, what we practice because we believe it is right, just, and good. Epictetus tells us that true freedom comes when we act according to our values and not by the demands of the external world. Having a purpose is acting according to who you really are, with your principles. When you align your actions with your purpose, you create an authentic life, a life in which you feel truly whole. And an important point, you don't need to find the perfect purpose. Over time, it can change, transform, mature. What matters is that today you define an intention for yourself, and this intention can be as simple as practicing kindness or improving a little each day. Because, as the Stoics said, it is the sum of these small actions that builds a life of meaning. Now imagine living like this for the next 3 days. Simply waking up, defining a clear intention for your day, and at the end of it reflecting on how it went. In just 3 days, you will begin to feel the difference, a kind of internal alignment, as if you were finally on the right path. You may notice that by following this purpose, you feel less anxiety, less haste, and less weight in your daily tasks. After all, everything you do becomes part of something bigger, part of a purpose. This is what I want you to experience. 3 days of clear purpose. Get up in the morning and think, what really matters today? Choose a purpose that resonates with what you desire for yourself, and allow yourself to live this intention fully. Go forward with courage and humility, and observe how this changes the way you see the world around you. 6. Listen more, speak less. This habit may seem simple, but few realize the power it carries. In Stoicism, listening is a skill as important as the control of emotions, because listening is the path to understanding ourselves, others, and the world around us. When you choose to listen more and speak less, you give space for the other to reveal themselves, for situations to show themselves without the interference of your assumptions. And it is there that lies the wisdom that the Stoics so sought. Think about the conversations of your daily life. How many times while the other is speaking are we already preparing a response, even before hearing everything they have to say? This habit of preparing responses without really listening is almost automatic. However, what Stoicism teaches us is that true listening requires presence and patience. It is not just about being silent while the other speaks, but an active act of deep attention. When Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak," he was reminding us of the importance of being receptive, of giving more space to understand than to react. Listening more and speaking less puts us in a state of constant learning. When you open yourself to listen without the rush to expose your opinion or tell your story, you become a sponge of knowledge and experience. Every person who passes through your life has something to teach, a unique vision, a story that can transform the way you see things. The Stoics knew this and valued the power of silence as a practice of wisdom. To adopt this habit, start by observing your own conversations. In the next dialogue, try to really listen. If the other person says something you disagree with, don't react immediately. Reflect on what was said. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? By doing this, you not only respect the other's point of view, but also train your mind to be less reactive, to be more patient and understanding. This practice helps build what the Stoics called a tranquil mind, one that is not agitated by every word or provocation. When we listen more, we also develop a more genuine connection with people. The act of listening with attention and empathy makes the other person feel valued and respected, which strengthens the bonds of trust and mutual respect. The Stoics believed that true strength of character is revealed in the way we relate to others. And one of the best ways to demonstrate this strength is through listening and respecting the time and words of the other. Imagine that every conversation is a learning opportunity. When you give space for the other to speak, you access a universe of different experiences and perspectives. This act of opening yourself to new visions is a way to expand your mind, to gain wisdom without the weight of presumption. You may even notice that in many moments, your own responses become more balanced and thoughtful because they were preceded by reflection. Finally, listening more and speaking less is also a practice of humility. The Stoics were masters at recognizing the limitations of human knowledge. For them, arrogance was a poison that distorted vision and blocked personal growth. When you choose to listen instead of monopolizing a conversation, you practice the humility of knowing that you still have much to learn. You open space for the unexpected, for the new, and for the truth that can be anywhere, even in the words of someone you judge to know little. So, in the next 3 days, try to apply this habit in your interactions. Train active listening as an exercise in Stoicism, a practice of personal growth. And remember, it's not just about being quieter, but about being more present, more attentive. Every conversation is a chance to enhance your wisdom. Adopt this habit and see how the simple act of listening more and speaking less can bring peace, understanding, and learning to your life. Reflect at nightfall, at the end of the day, when everything quiets down and the world outside finally slows down. It is the perfect moment to turn inward. The Stoics had this custom of reflecting on what they had lived, on each action and each choice made throughout the day. For them, it was not about regret or sorrow, but about adjusting the rudder, about understanding where wisdom was applied and where perhaps a little more calm or discernment was lacking. Marcus Aurelius, in his writings, shows us the value of observing our actions without severe judgment, but with the intention of growth. Because in the end, that's what it's all about. Constant evolution, one step at a time. Think with me. How many times do we go through our days as if we were on autopilot, without questioning the reasons behind our decisions? We often only realize it when the consequences are already before us. Now imagine what happens when you create the habit of stopping every day and looking back at each decision you made, at the reactions you had. In just 3 days of practice, you begin to notice the patterns, to better understand what leads you to act in one way and not another. This habit of reflecting is not just an adjustment. It is a ritual of self-knowledge that strengthens the soul. Now I want you to visualize this moment at night. Maybe you are tired, but as you lie down or sit in a quieter corner, set aside a few minutes for this reflection. Start by reviewing the encounters, the conversations, the emotions that arose. Ask yourself, today, was I faithful to my values? Did I act with patience, with courage? Did I choose to be guided by reason, or was I carried away by emotion? Don't blame yourself if you find mistakes or attitudes you would rather not have had. That is part of the process. What matters is the learning, is using tomorrow as a chance to be better. You may be surprised to realize how much these small nightly reviews transform your way of living. Because by observing your own actions, you begin to understand the nature of your reactions. Why did I get so irritated in that situation? Why did I feel anxious or worried? And every time these questions appear, they open a door to self-understanding. This practice of self-analysis will give you the ability to face the coming days with a calmer mind and a stronger posture. Think of the Stoics like Seneca and Epictetus, who remind us that self-knowledge is the key to a full life. By reflecting on your day, you are aligning your spirit with your own essence. You are cleaning out what does not serve and embracing what makes sense. And by practicing this consistently, even for just 3 days, you will notice the impact. This habit is like an anchor that keeps you firm amidst the daily storms, that gives you the chance to learn at each sunset and grow at each dawn. So, at the end of your day today, take a few minutes for this practice and do it as a ritual, not as a task. Because for the Stoics, this moment of review is almost sacred. It is the opportunity to polish the spirit, to polish the character, and to be at peace with who you are, regardless of the mistakes or successes. Remember, the important thing is not to be perfect, but to be in constant improvement. We have reached the end of this journey through the 7 habits that can transform your life in just 3 days. Now it's up to you. Remember that each of these habits is a daily choice, a decision to look within and to act with purpose. Don't demand perfection from yourself. Just take the first step and observe how, little by little, life begins to align with what you truly value. If you watched until the end, I want to know. Leave a comment here. I stayed until the end. This helps me understand that we are together on this journey of growth and transformation. And if this content made sense to you, if it brought you some clarity or inspiration, please leave your like. This way, YouTube also understands that this message can help other people and brings this content to more people. And of course, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, the invitation is made. Subscribe, activate the bell to receive notifications, and join this community of seekers of a stronger and more serene life. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next video.